Hello there and welcome to the SBR BTCC Legend Series, brought to you in association with BTCC Blueprints and Paul Welsh Groundwork and Construction. Let's take a look at the grid for race number 2 here, and we have Jake on pole from Lewis, from Adam, Chris, Rob, Ben, Nathan, Dean, Sean, Leon, Jeff, Ash, Rob, Liam, who's sorted out his issues from race number 1, and Andrew at the rear. Let's take a look at the highlights for race number 2 of the final round of the season. We see the lights are coming on now. That's 4 lights, 5 lights, and we are go and away. And it looks like a decent start there, this time for Lewis. Something happened there. Jake got a little bit bogged down or missed the lights or something like that. He's actually lost 4 positions going into turn number 1. He's going to gain a couple, and it's all mayhem behind. It looked like Rob and Dean getting together and Liam getting together with Sean and Jeff all coming together, and unfortunately it looks like Jeff came off a little bit worse there. We go to the front of the field and we see Jake now getting ahead of Chris, with a little love tap there from Ben as well, just for good measure. Nathan looks like Lewis there in front of Adam, nice and early. I'll say that they're side by side going into the corner, but Lewis is just about going to keep himself ahead of Adam, and then Jake settling down into 3rd place, and then Ben and Chris together side by side going down into the hairpin. It's actually Chris ahead of Ben, who's ahead of Rob, and then Nathan, who's got the jump on his teammate's namesake Rob as well. And it looks like Liam's recovered nicely there behind Nathan in the early stages. Jake's now putting a bit of pressure onto Adam at the end of lap number 1, or midway through lap number 1 I should say. Adam looks like he's almost going to be doing a rear gunner's job here to allow Lewis to get away that little bit. Ben here recovering after his spin in race number 1. Is he going to do anything similar in race number 2, or is he actually going to keep this one pointing in a straight line, grab a decent finish this time? I say that as Rob comes down the inside and uses the Nissan power. As I say that, Jake's used the Nissan's power to get ahead of Adam, but Adam's got the inside line going into the hairpin. We got Rob, Dean and Liam all together. A nudge there from as Ben tries to go up the inside, and Ben has to take avoiding action of the Armco barrier for the pit lane. He loses out a little bit more as Adam tries to mount a challenge on Jake, uses the slipstream to try and keep himself nearby, and robs into the back of Dean there into turn number 1. Maybe a little bit of payback from the first lap, as Ben's now dropped behind the 2 of them as well. Ben obviously looking to recover again from the mistake at the final corner of lap number 1. It's dropped him back down the field. That hasn't seemed to have dented Nathan's hopes too much of this in this race. It's certainly hampered Ben yet again, who finds himself behind his brother and teammate as well as Rob. We go down into the bottom hairpin, Rob looking at a little bit wide as Dean has a look up the inside on the exit of Nathan, but can't do anything about it. They start climbing back up the hill. They go to the launch curbs through the very fast chicane in the middle of this uphill section. Rob seeming to have a bit of a better run on Dean. He looks to the inside as they brake before they go back downhill and then quickly back uphill. But Dean just about holds it off and himself ahead of Rob here. Rob tucks back into the slipstream early. Can he do anything coming up to the Schumacher S's? He's in the slipstream. Dean goes to a defensive line and almost breaks that a little bit early there. Puts Rob into the back of him. It unsettles the car coming out the Schumacher S's. He's a little bit sideways. It's held Rob up that little bit. And now Ben's going to have 2 for 1 here. He's ahead of Rob. He's ahead of Dean, just about coming out of the final corner. That's going to put them all sorts wide. 3, maybe even 4 wide going down the start and finish straight. With Ben, Sean and Dean all side by side. Rob trying to make it 4 wide going into turn number 1, and they're all over the place. Dean coming back across to defend from Rob and coming into contact, and it's mayhem, absolute mayhem. It's semi-spun Rob as Dean's tried to cut back in front, spun Rob into Sean, and Sean's been taken out yet again. What has Sean got to do to get a decent result here? As we go back up to the front, we've almost forgot about this battle here, as Jake has now started to catch Lewis for the lead of the race. He's not been able to pull away as quickly as he did in race number 1, but he certainly has caught Lewis, and he's going to make this a battle all the way for the rest of the round and rest of this race by the looks of it for the lead. Can he do anything about it? Can he maybe even get a clean sweep this weekend? We see that Jake is now piling the pressure on. He goes down the outside. The power of that Nissan is something unreal to the Subaru. He's already ahead before the braking zone. He takes the inside line, forces Lewis to have a look at the outside. There's nothing Lewis can do. The Nissan's just got so much speed in a straight line, and Jake is up into first place. And Lewis is now going to use as much of the slipstream as he can. No, he's going to try and keep on the outside down the start finish straight. You can see the Nissan's just pulling away without much issue, so Lewis dives back in to the slipstream. He pulls back out to the outside line. Can he hold it around the outside and have the inside line for turn number 2? No, he decides to take a dive down the inside. A nice switchback. Anything he can do around the outside of turn number 2, he sticks it there. He's in line with the outside wheel, but unfortunately Jake is gonna have the power and just keep that position ahead of Lewis. We go back on board on the front bumper this time as they bounce over the curves of turn number 4 back onto the original Nürburgring circuit, as Lewis continues to look every which way he possibly can for a way past Jake. I'm not sure he's going to be able to do anything about it coming down the hill. That Nissan's going to have that bit of an extra grunt. But no, sure enough, there's not a lot he's going to do. He's just going to have to sit in that slipstream and hope for a mistake by Jake in the latter stages. If we pop back and we see the battle a little bit further down the field, and we see Ash and Andrew battling away together. Andrew's teammate Leon in the background as well, looking for a decent result. Ash just holding them up a little bit into the Schumacher S's. It's allowed it to become a 3-way battle, and Leon joining Andrew, battling away with Ash. Andrew holding a little bit tighter line coming out of turn number out the final corner, sorry, as they go back down the start finish straight. And sure enough, you see Ash having a slipstream, or giving the slipstream to Andrew, as Leon gets the double slipstream, goes towards the inside of turn number 1, and now gets ahead of his teammate Andrews. That's actually going to give Ash a bit of a breathing space ahead of these two, as Leon definitely keeps the position. Andrew not happy with that, a little bump up the rear end. You might be my teammate, but I'm not happy with that overtake, he says. As we see Dean now fighting away with Jeff and Rob. Again, these two together, they're almost inseparable, these two, in every round. Dean and Rob always seem to be together in some way, shape or form. But Rob just seems to have the measure this time going into the center S's of Dean. They hit the braking zone, and Jeff is going to make it a 3-way battle for this position as much as he can. But it looks like Rob's going to have the measure of Dean as they come round the final corner of the lap. Back down the start finish straight, Rob moving to the middle, making sure that there's no slipstream available. Talking of slipstream, we're now in the slipstream of the Rockstar of Andrew, who's got back ahead of his teammate by the looks of it. And now, are we on board with his teammate? I think either which way, they're ahead of Andrew. Yes, it was the teammate. It was Leon who is back ahead of Andrew. Andrew obviously got past somewhere along the lap after Leon got ahead. And now Leon back ahead of Andrew, and they're going to hopefully put their focus into catching Ash. We go back to the battle for 3rd place. We've got Adam from Chris, from Rob, and Liam, who's recovering very well after his dramas in race number 1. The stewards finding out that he actually had a steering column failure, and that's the reason why it suddenly spun him over into Sean as it failed away. Major issue there for Liam, but certainly back on it nice and early in this race, battling away for third place. It actually looks like Adam is going to be pulling away that little bit now in this battle as Jake and Lewis battle away for 1st place. Adam certainly pulling away that little bit from Chris, Rob and Liam in the battle for third. Liam a little bit later than Rob on the brakes. Maybe that Nissan needs that little bit extra. We go on board now with Liam as we go back up the hill towards the semi-chicane before the uphill section towards the Schumacher S's. And Liam seems to be carrying that little bit more speed through here, but the Nissan's going to have the power down the start-finish straight. Not the start-finish straight, but the long drag up to the Schumacher S's. All Liam can do is sit in that slipstream, get pulled along as fast as he can. He's not even going to think about an overtake here, surely. No, it just takes the line up over the curbs. The best way is to attack those curbs as much as you can in the Schumacher S's. We see the battle for the lead going on. Lewis flashing his lights at Jake. There's nothing I can do about it. You're just too damn quick, he says. But sure enough, he's going to battle as hard as he can. He certainly wants a race victory here. And try and stop Jake just running away with the championship. But it's almost... Jake's almost got the nails complete in the coffin. I think it's going to be Jake's championship to lose, barring any major mistake now. As he actually seems to be pulling away now on this last lap. Lewis a little bit deep into the hairpin there. That's only going to give Jake that little bit more breathing space. Over the crest of the hill now, and sure enough, Jake has got that little bit of breathing room to Lewis, and he's going to use the Nissan power back down the straight up towards the centre, the Schumacher S's yet again, or the Schumacher chicane yet again. Is there anything he can do about it? The position? I don't think there's going to be, as Adam behind seems to actually be catching the pair of them a little bit with the fighting that's been going on. Lewis getting a better run out the chicane, a bump on the rear of Jake, but sure enough, Jake I think is gonna just about hold this off from Lewis. The speed just about there for Jake as he takes victory from Adam, from Chris, and Rob and Liam managing to finish the race. Ben recovering well as well to finish well up the field, as we see Nathan coming over to the inside as well. He's unhappy, just like Ben from race number 1. Let's take a look at those results. So Jake Hill wins from Lewis, from Adam, Chris, Rob, Liam and Ben there in 7th place. Let's have a look at the lower half of the field, and in 8th we saw Rob from Jeff, Nathan, Ash, Leon, Andrew, Dean and Sean not able to finish, unfortunately. Thank you very much for watching the highlights of race number 2, and we look forward to seeing you for the final round of the SBR BTCC Legend Series very soon.